Well, join us today as drug awareness advocates Megan LaDue, James McCarthy, and Greg Swan share their stories of tragic loss and why they want to help other parents lead their children through the process of recovery. If you're enjoying Table Talk, be sure to like, comment, subscribe. Remember to click that notification bell to stay up to date on all of our latest posts. Well, after tragically losing their sons to fentanyl poisoning, Megan LaDue, Greg Swan, and James McCarthy dedicated their lives to exposing the truth behind America's opioid crisis. Fueled by the belief that kids should be allowed to learn from their mistakes, not die from them, they continue their work through the life-saving nonprofit Fentanyl Fathers. So join us as we discuss why fentanyl poisoning is on the rise and what families need to know about this deadly drug. But before we get to that, joining me around the table is Kendra Kelly Dean. And I have to be honest and say, I don't know a whole lot about this. I hear it about it in the news all the time. But this is a big issue that we need to talk about.
It's a big issue. And me and I have a 12-year-old. We talk about it. But that's one of the things that I so appreciate about you, Joni, is that you're not afraid to talk about these topics and bring light. And these people who are with us today are so courageous to share their story to help other parents and other kids.
Dorothy, you have two sons. I know that you cannot imagine.
No, I can't. I don't even want to imagine it. You know, but I admire our guests because it's people like them that God will use their pain for purpose and power. So I just appreciate them so much.
Well, Cindy, we're going to hear some sad stories.
Oh, my goodness. I've cried already. And, you know, and I realize the importance of knowledge. The Bible does say we will perish for lack of knowledge. And so today's show, we are going to inform people of the truth.
Well, you know, drug awareness advocates are joining us today to share the heartbreaking stories of how their sons were lost to opioid overdose and why they want to take their life-saving message to every school in America. Please welcome Megan, Greg, and James. Welcome, everyone.
Thank you so much.
So good to have you here. And so what is fentanyl and what do parents need to know about it? Well, let's go to this clip and watch.
It's a drug 50 times more potent than heroin, and doctors say just touching it can send you to the emergency room. We're talking about the synthetic opioid fentanyl.
Social media app has changed the game when it comes to narcotics. Fentanyl's all over the place, and just massive amounts of it. And some of them are going to fall trap to that.
4 years ago, DEA in Arizona seized 0 fentanyl. This last year, we seized enough fentanyl to kill 70 million people. You're playing Russian roulette out there when you're taking these pills and you're buying this stuff off the street.
This is my son, Alexander. He died at 14 years old from fentanyl poisoning.
This is our daughter, Jessica. She was 29 years old when she was killed by fentanyl.
This is my daughter, Alex. She was murdered at 20 years old by a drug dealer who sold her a counterfeit pill made of fentanyl.
This is my son, Daniel Joseph Puerta Johnson, killed at the age of 16 by illicit fentanyl.
This is my son.
Well, I just want to say a big thank you to you, Megan, and you, James, and you, Greg, for being here and having the courage to share your story. I know that we're going to help people that are watching today. I'd like to show a clip from a policeman that is actually helping us to understand how deadly fentanyl is. Do you guys realize that the most minute, tiny amount, and it's usually laced on what kids think is what, Xanax, Percocet, and what was the other one?
Adderall.
Oxycontin. Oh, Adderall and Oxycontin. And so, of course, many people don't realize the deadly risk associated with fentanyl, but again, this video will help put it in perspective. This is what's happening, and we need to do something about it. Let's watch.
This would be how much cocaine somebody would have to ingest to kill them. This is the approximate number of prescription pills one would have to ingest to kill them. This is the amount of heroin the average person would have to ingest to kill them. Fentanyl. You're gonna have to bring that camera up here real close to see it. This much fentanyl would kill you and I if we split it. They put fentanyl in cocaine. They put fentanyl in heroin. They put fentanyl, as we already know and talked about, into counterfeit pills. It's odorless, it's tasteless, you don't know it's there. And when you find out it's there, it's too late. You won't even know it. You'll be dead. 2,500 people would be killed by that amount of fentanyl. Does that sound like a drug to you? Does that sound more like a poison?
So, Greg, I do want to get into what you all are doing and the difference that you're making with the organization that you have, and you're taking this message into the schools and just letting people have the information they need to know, especially our kids, of how dangerous this is. But so if I understand correctly, kids don't even know a lot of times that these meds that they think are Xanax or Adderall, they think it's a Xanax or Adderall pill, but it's laced with fentanyl, and they have no idea that they're taking something that will probably kill them.
It staggers my mind that they don't know this, but they don't. We go and tell them directly. We do it with the DEA-approved approach that has the bereaved parent, which really makes them pay attention. They lock in because of that, because kids know what's authentic and what's not. And after that, we give them the facts, a deck. It could be any deck. It's 40 slides to say 8 and 10 pills will kill you dead like raid kills bugs. We show how to use, recognize, and overdose and distribute and administer naloxone. And you've given me permission. I'm going to do this live on the show. I'm going to hit. That squirt is a lifesaver. It's called the Lazarus drug. You might smell a little bit, but it's safe. People want to know, is it safe to administer? Yes, it is. If you do it within 7 minutes, every school in America will have this, by the way, in the future. You will save that life. It will reverse their ability to not breathe. And then we measure the effect on their ability to avoid these drugs.
Is that what fentanyl does? It paralyzes the back?
Yes,
the brainstem?
Yes. The opioid part stops the pain from going in, and then what happens is when it goes too far, it stops the receptors in the back of the brain, and your automatic breathe in, breathe out shuts down. That is what causes overdoses.
And what is this right here?
This is something that we send every bereaved parent who wants to join us to do a school presentation. We give them the whole thing. All we want is your story, to be able to tell your child's story about how you lost them and have their story count. The rest of it is turnkey for the rest of the assembly, which is a 45-minute assembly. That's your time limit.
So tell us what happened to your son, Drew.
So my son, Drew, went into his roommate's medicine cabinet. He was at a halfway house. He had recovered. He was doing well for a year and a half.
And how old was he?
He was 24 years old. He's beautiful. And
been a model for Abercrombie?
Abercrombie model, 160 IQ.
Had everything going for him.
Funny, yeah. I know he's with the Lord, and he was exhibiting signs of being woozy, pinpoint pupils, and you have to recognize that. And as the guy he was going to get a place with said, Swan, you're nodding off. What's going on?
But he had no idea it was laced with fentanyl.
He had no idea that he was overdosing and dying from synthetic opioids, no clue. But he staggered back to his place, and Rico, the guy who was with him, said, hey, Drew, come back. And he gave the thumbs up. He goes, no, I'm fine.
What happened? He passed away?
He passed away. Rico went into his place the next day, and he discovered that he was dead. Rico, reached out on Facebook and told my son, Jack, something's very wrong with Drew, and you need to call me immediately.
So I know that was, 2013?
Yes, it was 2013.
So you've had some time, but
I've had a little time.
The next two stories are going to be closer because they just happened.
Yes.
Not long ago. But
yes.
Talk about your initial reaction?
I was numb. I
Did you
didn't
ask
care about
God?
life.
Did you say, God, where were you? What happened?
I am ashamed to say that I told God, we're breaking up. I'm done with you because you just took my number one.
That's what you did.
Yeah.
And so...
But I recovered. He was the only guy who could help me recover.
So what was the turning point where you're like, okay, well, I was wrong. God, I'm not breaking up with you, but I need you to help me get through this? Because I honestly think, I know there are some of you watching, you've gone through, you may not have lost a loved one to fentanyl, but maybe you've lost a loved one, you've gone through a loss, maybe you're in the middle of a difficult situation right now, and you've just kind of decided like, Greg, I'm just going to break up with God. Don't break up with God. He's the one that will never leave you. He's the one that'll never forsake you. And as bad as it is, you're going to hear their stories and see that out of the tragedy, God's going to take their stories and help hundreds and hundreds of kids, and that's what God does. It doesn't mean that we understand. I don't know that we'll ever totally understand, but those that know the Lord, we understand that we'll have eternity with them. We understand that we will see them again. So it's important that you hold on to the hand of God right now and don't let go. As you listen to these stories, you're gonna be like, wow, if they could go through that, I can go through this. I'm gonna be strong, I'm gonna be brave. And for those of you that have, especially high school children, you need to let them watch this show today, record it, whatever, and let them understand what is going on. But that year or so after, when did you finally kind of turn back and say, okay, God, I'm going to just ask you to come back into my life. I'm going to get back in the lane that you called me to be in, and I'm going to make a difference out of this tragedy that's happened?
I was numb for a while. I did something called EMDR therapy, which is watching lights back and forth, going to the moment, and then thinking about being happy again. I was reading books about the afterlife, but I finally
I know
came
my
to
husband, Dr. Doug Weiss, who's a psychologist, prayed for you.
Oh, he was there the last night I was with Drew, the very last night that I was with him. I knew that, God is holding this card. It's called the satisfaction card, and he holds it. And he's the only one who had the answers for me. I had to go back to the guy that I had blamed for allowing this to happen. And we did some things politically to free up money with the Speaker of the House in 2018. But it wasn't until I realized that nobody is taking responsibility for this. So we got to go and tell the kids, like Paul Revere.
And you had to forgive Rico.
Rico, yeah, God bless him. He came to Detroit, told us the whole story of what happened. We don't hold him accountable. Yeah. Originally, my son Jack was really mad that he let him go into that house. He was seen signs, but Rico didn't know he was overdosing. Drew didn't tell him, and so he didn't warn him. So when we started Fentanyl Fathers, it's not just saving kids and giving them the heads up. It's these people who just lost their kids.
Yeah.
God bless them.
Y'all come together and minister to one another. Understand it. You did everything you could. You would have done anything to save your son.
Oh, I would do anything to be with him. I'm looking forward to that great grand hug reunion in heaven with him.
So, James, let's go to you. Tell us your story with, of course, your beautiful son, Jack.
Yes, Jack, much like Greg, we all love our kids, but I, of course, am biased. And I had a very, very close relationship with Jack, and to which we talked about everything. We did so much together. We started music. He found interest in playing guitar, and he got very good very quickly. And so we did that together. I took him to concerts. Then we began to enjoy mixed martial arts, and during the pandemic, I never thought I would be grateful for a pandemic, but that is when I got to spend as much time every day with Jack, because he would have been a freshman in college, and we spent a lot of time in that gym together, and we were able to create a bond. And there was a day in that gym, which I now call Jack's Gym. I said, don't be messing around with. Because Jack, I'll just rewind a little bit. The first thing we say when we do these talks, I ask the audience, who are high school students, how many of you people know someone who has anxiety or depression? And every single hand goes up. Because really the thought is sometimes a stigma would be, these are drug addicts or people using drugs, but they're not trying to get high most of the time. They're trying to feel normal.
Right.
Even keeled. They're trying to get back to the way hopefully all of us feel today at the table, but they don't feel that way, and so they're looking for that. They certainly aren't looking for a counterfeit counterfeit pill that
I mean,
is
there are
laced.
psychiatrists that prescribe Xanax, and I mean, there's
100%.
stuff for anxiety. Is that what your son was dealing
Yes,
with?
so he spent 2 months, 2 years in a row, a month in the hospital when he was 9 and 10, and he had autonomic neuropathy, and severe pain, and that is where, and this is just my, hypothesis theory, but where he learned that, oh, pill equals feel better. And as he, began to grow up in the teen years, as you do, and you have, he was always anxious that he would get that again. And he tried this marijuana, but a form of it called wax, which I found everybody who's ever played guitar and has an amplifier knows you look in the amplifier because that's where you hide these things. And we dealt with it then, and he made a promise to himself and God and everyone that he would stop. But his anxiety never really went away between the pandemic and being alone, not with his friends and everything. And
Which we know that affected scads of kids.
Yes.
And young children and high school children, and just being shut down like that was so unnatural to happen.
It's too much time to spend alone with your own thoughts. And
so take us back to that day.
So I was in Indiana on a commercial shoot, and Jack had, it was September 24th, 2021. Jack had said to my wife, Kathy, I'm going to go to my friend Justin's house for a while, but I'll be home by midnight. Okay, great. Well, he left the house and came back at 10:30, around 10:30. And Kathy thought, great, everybody's safe, I'll shut the lights off, good night. And when she came downstairs in the morning, she found Jack pressed against he wasn't laying down, he was actually slunched over, and unfortunately, when she lifted his head, she realized that he was gone.
He was gone, and what had happened?
He had found a guy on Snapchat. He drove to Detroit, a pretty dangerous neighborhood in Detroit, and bought what he thought were 4 Xanax and 4 Adderall, and came home, took one of the Xanax, I believe it was, and it had enough fentanyl in it to kill 4 grown men, or a horse, as I sometimes say.
Oh, my goodness. Wow, wow, wow.
And, it changes your life forever. And I broke up with God as well for a bit. But I found Greg through a mutual friend, James McNulty, another fine Irish lad. And he hooked us up together, and Greg said, I'm thinking we need to do something, and I'm sorry for your loss, but what if we were to go out and educate? And Fentanyl Fathers was born that night, and a very good friend.
Fentanyl Fathers, and you got back with God?
I did.
I'm glad you did.
I did. It wasn't hard. It was just when you lose, and I know you two can relate. When you lose a child, your heart is torn out, thrown on the ground, and stomped on, as I say to people. It's just there's no pain that I think you can feel.
I heard someone say one time that God the Father lost his son at Calvary to pay the price for our sin. Think about what he felt on that day. He can relate, to what you're talking about. And the very thing that you're running away from is the person or the God you should run to. And he's just waiting with arms open to say, come, he said, come unto me, all you that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. You can only find that rest and that peace in that situation. I'm sure I can't understand what you went through because I've never lost a child, but the fact that you had that moment and then you had the moment to come back, I think that's the important thing to talk about, and that now you're using what you went through to help other people, and that's what God's going to do for you too. Some of the very things you're going through is what God is going to take and turn around and use to help other people. And I mean, thousands of kids are being helped through Fentanyl Fathers. So, Megan, you are, this was just 2023 that your precious Wade, who was 19?
19.
Tell us about him.
He was my firstborn.
Yeah.
And he meant everything to me.
Yeah.
And just like their children, my son thought he was buying a Xanax. And he does have his own free will. He does, but he was duped. And
so he thought he was buying a Xanax, because you have to understand, when these kids are buying this off the street, they don't realize that it could be laced with the smallest amount of fentanyl, and it will kill them.
It will.
And so take us back to that day.
You know,
with Wade.
my son did not know the drug dealer. He reached out to a friend because he was having severe anxiety from leaving sober living. And he told him, I'm having really bad anxiety, I need a Xanax. And my son was addicted to Xanax. It's a highly addictive drug that he was prescribed. And his friend, the scary part about it now is I've seen the text messages, actually said to the drug dealer, is it real, is it script, send me a video. And so his friend knew enough to protect Wade that we wanted a real pill. And so you have this conversation with your children, they look real, and they're not, and you don't know it. And just like James, the medical examiner in my son's case, it had enough fentanyl to kill 6 people, is what I was told.
Wow, wow. Well, Wade left Megan a heartfelt voicemail just a few days before he died. You've been so kind to let us hear his voice. Everybody get your tissue ready. Let's listen to a clip from that message and understand the heart of kids that sometimes they're stuck in a place and they just want help. They don't want to stay there. And that's why we're here today, to try to help as many as we can. Let's listen to what Wade had to say to his mom.
Mom, I just wanted to say I'm sorry for yelling and cussing at you. I'm sorry. I'm going through a lot, and I just don't think you understand the extent of what I'm going through, because you're not an addict, and everything is hard for me. And me telling you that was hard for me. I love you so much, Mom, and I'm sorry for everything that I've done, okay? I am trying so hard at this rehab. I am trying so hard. This is the first time I have voluntarily went to a rehab, okay? This is the first time I'm talking to my therapist. This is the first time I'm putting effort into groups and listening to people. I just need you. I just need you to be on my side, okay? I really need you on my side. I love you so much, Mom. I love you. I plan to go to 90 meetings in 90 days, because that's what, like an AA meeting, 90 and 90 is a thing in Alcoholics Anonymous when you're first starting. I plan to go to the IOP on 54 after this. I plan to get a job and go into a trade. I want a life. I don't like how I was living, okay? I don't at all. So please, I just need you to be there for me. Please, Mom, I'm hurting so bad. Please, and I know you're hurting too. I know, and I'm going to get better, I promise you. Just please, I need you. I need you right now to just be supportive, okay? I love you so much, Mom. Bye.
I know we see the butterfly there, and I know that has important meaning to you, but was he in the rehab at the time when he called you?
He was.
He was there, so he's just telling you, hey, I'm going to do this, I'm going to get through this, and then he actually left, right?
Yes, he did.
Because you could leave voluntarily, I guess.
Yeah. Well, he was in sober living and working at a church, and part of the requirement was he had to get a job. And my son was so excited. He went to this job interview. He got all dressed up. And when he got there, they looked at him and they said, oh, man, Wade, we're sorry. We already hired somebody. We forgot to call you. And for somebody who's struggling with anxiety, depression, he couldn't handle it. And his whole world came crashing down.
Just like the final little straw.
It was like that, and he couldn't handle it. And he made a very poor decision to get on a train to come back home to see his girlfriend. Hence why he was struggling with the anxiety and wanted a Xanax.
Right.
And, he can't take that back.
Yeah.
And that's the part that we want to warn. I happened to meet these wonderful fathers because I was at a candlelight vigil honoring my son in November. I mean, my son just passed away in August. Our goal is to not have a parent sit up here and die from this, because our children are making mistakes that they can't take back.
So James, for people that want to get involved, that maybe even do a presentation, I mean, or people who have a story of a loved one, how important is it for them to speak out? Because it does make a tremendous difference when you go into these school assemblies and you have this video to show of these beautiful, healthy kids that made a wrong decision that cost them their life.
Yes, it really makes it for the kids that we present to real. There's, you know, they see Drew and Wade and anyone who, I always say, when I met Megan, I'm sorry that you're part of our group, because I don't want any more parents. So our mission and goal is to get to all 25,000 schools in the United States, because silence is the killer when you look the other way.
Yeah.
So it is, I say to anyone who would like to be involved or tell their story, please contact us at fentanylfathers.org, and we welcome you with open arms, and we want to give you a platform to tell your story and to help save lives.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
So Megan, those of you that are part of Fentanyl Fathers, are you there for people who are watching who have a kid that's struggling right now?
100%. You know, I woke up this morning and I thought to myself, how am I going to honor the 500,000 victims we've had to this since 2019, the CDC released, and that's reported. And as a mother, I sit here with no shame that my son was addicted to Xanax. He made horrible choices, but he was my son, and he meant something to me. And if you have a child that is suffering like my son, or you have a daughter that's suffering, don't try and hide it. Get help. Speak it. Use your voice. I would do anything. I tried to do anything I could to save my child. And I know there's a stigma associated to this. And I'm also not naive to the fact that kids experiment. So it doesn't take just a child like mine that was struggling. There are kids all over the United States in high school, college, they're at a party, and they think, oh, it's not gonna happen to me. I mean, we see it with famous people, that they take something and they didn't know that it was laced with fentanyl. This is a real problem.
Yeah. Well, we are out of time. I want you to remember that even in the midst of grief, God promises that He will heal our broken hearts and bind up our wounds. You know, the Bible says, weeping may endure for a night, but joy will come in the morning. And all of our parents sitting here, yes, they've experienced grief, but they don't grieve without hope, because they know they will see their sons again. It doesn't mean that they don't think about it or that we shouldn't talk about them and celebrate them, because we should. And I know that you have been blessed by hearing their story today. And you may be walking through a season of grief you never expected, but I want you to know that you can trust God no matter what you're going through. If you're watching today and you're in a season of grief, or maybe you can relate to what we've talking about, or maybe there's another addiction that you're struggling with, that's why that number is on the screen. Our prayer partners are standing by, ready to pray with you. And I tell you what, the most important thing you can do is just to invite Jesus into your heart today. Just say, Jesus, I need you. And I always say, some of you watching, you've tried everything else. You've never tried that. I just want to challenge you to open up your heart and say, Jesus, I need you. And I'm going to tell you, He will fill that void in your heart, that chamber that nothing or no one else can fill. I do want to thank Megan, Greg, and James for joining us today. For more on their mission with Fentanyl Fathers and to connect with important resources, you can visit them online at fentanylfathers.org. As always, be sure to follow us on all social media platforms. You can leave us a comment to let us know how Table Talk is touching your life. We always love hearing from you. And you'll want to make sure you subscribe to the Joni Table Talk podcast. It's available right now across all top podcast apps. Be sure you share this program with those that you love. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you, three brave parents sitting here.
Thank you so much.
We love you and appreciate you, excited about what God is doing and how many lives are going to be saved in the days ahead. We love you too. God bless you. Bye-bye for today.